Hey, what is up, guys? Tyler here with Secure Team. So, if you guys didn't catch it, I did my very first, I did a test, I think a year ago, but yesterday, I did my very first real live stream, which lasted about an hour and a half. And as you would think for someone's very first live stream, it was terrible. It was about 3 in the morning, and I was struggling to figure out how the chat worked, but I thought it went really well, and people seemed to enjoy being able to talk, and it was really awesome to interact with all of you. But again, if you haven't checked that out, visit the link down below, because we covered a lot of strange and interesting topics in it. So a few different stories to cover today, the first of which, real quick, is in regards to this massive spinning disk of ice that formed in the middle of this river in Maine. And it's so perfect and beautiful. I mean, from directly above, it almost looks like the moon. However, from down on the ground, what it actually is this huge spinning disk of ice, roughly 100 yards in diameter, that formed in the freezing waters of the Presumscot River in Westbrook, Maine. The story broke after a Westbrook city official captured both drone footage and then photographs that showed this near-perfect disk moving around in a counterclockwise direction, with experts saying that these disks, which are actually not that uncommon, they're rare, but they're not uncommon. They say that they usually form in a slow-moving, rotating part of the river, where a certain part of the water actually freezes faster than the rest of the water, forming these gigantic circles of ice. It's a natural, but a very rare phenomenon. And so if you ever see one of these massive spinning disks sitting in a river or a lake, rest assured it is natural, at least these. That's not to say we haven't seen strange objects in lakes and rivers and the ocean. Speaking of which, we're going to talk about some real UFOs seen in the water here in a minute. But alas, this is natural, so pretty cool. I'll put the link to the drone footage down below. So next, in unexplained news, we have a developing story here. It's been going on for a little while now, and it all started back in December of 2018, when meteorologists detected something very strange on radar in the skies above Evansville, Kentucky, where a little bit before 3 p.m. on Monday, December 10th, meteorologists noticed and began tracking this strange, anomalous moving blob on radar that was moving over the tri-state area, beginning in southern Illinois, drifting over southern Indiana, and then finally into western Kentucky, which you guys are seeing here. It was even posted to Twitter. And while originally they thought maybe it was a storm or rain, it was a clear night with very little wind, temperatures in the 20s in the tri-state, and so they had to rule out it being a shower or a thunderstorm. Needless to say, this radar return here that was appearing had the strength of what you would see in a strong storm, so they had no idea what this strange, elongated blob was. Later on at 9:20 p.m., posting again to Twitter, the object moving near Providence with the statement, quote, "Folks are still trying to figure out what this is." And well, long story short, what they later found out, or at least what was relayed to the Weather Service from multiple pilots, was that the mysterious radar blob was actually the remnants of a substance called chaff that had been released from a military plane flying northwest above the city. Now, what is chaff? Well, in short, it's a radar jamming material that's mostly composed of aluminum that are released into the air in these huge plumes. And just as I said, it's used to jam radar. And apparently, this was confirmed to be chaff that had been released during a military exercise over the tri-state area. Or at least, that's what they said. How many times have we seen cover-ups that were later deemed to be exercises? But apparently, there were multiple pilots from the local bases who did confirm it. So let's just say that it was chaff and it was nothing unexplained. However, although what happened over western Kentucky may have been explained, what is not explained, at least as of yet, are some more very anomalous radar blips above the states of Maine and Florida right around the same time. So according to this story here, which is titled "More Chaff," Evansville area radar blips had an answer, these don't. It goes on to state that while the explanation of chaff being released in the skies above Kentucky was reasonable, it does not explain what happened in Maine and Florida around the same time, where similar blips on radar had materialized over Portland, Maine on December 12th, and where the National Weather Service originally guessed that chaff was to blame again. However, unlike what happened above the tri-state area in Kentucky, there was no concrete explanation that sprang forth. And according to multiple sources in the Maine Air National Guard, they don't have any planes that are equipped to release chaff. And it's not like a plane from a different base would jet all the way to Maine just to release the stuff into the air. Now, the same day that this was happening above Maine, strange radar blips also appeared over the Florida Keys. And again, the National Weather Service guessed that it was chaff. However, the hypothesis was never confirmed, with multiple investigators stating, quote, "We believe there is more to the story than what the FAA and the military are telling us." And here's what's strange. Let's say that all of these instances were caused by the release of chaff, this radar jamming material. It begs the question, what kind of a mass nationwide exercise was the military conducting? And why was this radar jamming material so prominent? What were they trying to hide in the skies? And more importantly, wouldn't it be harmful to have such large amounts of this toxic aluminum material to be released into the atmosphere? Regardless, we still don't have any clear answers, and whatever was in the skies above Maine and Florida and Kentucky and Illinois and Indiana, all at the same time back in December, something is being hidden here. All of the answers are not being released, because either what appeared on radar over all of these states suddenly was either a mass UFO event, or it really was these planes releasing this radar jamming material to cover up something that was in the sky. Or, if you believe in coincidences, it was all just exercises that happened to be occurring at the same time over half of the eastern United States, despite reports from the local bases that there weren't any planes flying, and that over many of these areas they didn't even have planes equipped to release this stuff. And it's got a lot of people asking questions, including mainstream reporters who aren't buying this story. So, could these have been UFOs? And specifically, over the Florida Keys, where you had this massive radar return over the ocean. And we know for a fact, by the way, that UFO sightings in the water and in the oceans are just as prominent as UFO sightings over land. We've featured many of these sightings and reports of things coming up out of the water, shooting up into space many times on the channel. In fact, if you guys remember when the Pentagon released all of those UFO videos that were recorded off of the coast of California, where multiple aircraft carriers were basically being stalked by UFOs coming from the skies and the oceans, and that there was a top secret program to study these things. And what many of you probably don't know was that it was later confirmed that U.S. defense chiefs had actually commissioned a 13-page report into a bizarre event that occurred at that time off the coast of San Diego that lasted 3 days, where the USS Princeton, that was in the ocean off the coast of San Diego, on several occasions, and I'm quoting here from the report, on several occasions detected multiple anomalous aerial vehicles operating in and around the vicinity of the carrier. Further stating, quote, that the UFOs, or AAVs, would descend very rapidly from approximately 60,000 feet high down to 50 feet in a matter of seconds, and that they would stop and hover right above the water or stay stationary on radar for a short time and then depart at high velocities and turn rates. And that it's very possible that these things may have been coming down and actually meeting up with an object that was in the water. And I repeat again, from the leaked document, quote, the AAVs would rapidly descend from approximately 60,000 feet down to 50 feet in a matter of seconds. And with that, that's all I gotta say. So, tell me what you guys think. Be sure to check out that live stream. Stay tuned, stay safe. I'll see you guys back in just a bit.